Bill Waterman had been relentless, pushing Alicia to her limits. Alicia's knees ached, and the cool glass of the window soothed her fevered skin. Shakily, Alicia picked up her scattered clothes and slipped out of the room. Her legs were barely steady enough to hold her. What had happened between Alicia and Bill? What did this make them now? Alicia had read novels where the male and female leads remained pure and devoted to each other, their love transcending all obstacles. Now Alicia was living in a twisted version of those stories. The truth was undeniable. Alicia had fallen for Bill Waterman, captivated by his resilience in the face of adversity, his quiet dignity, and even the vulnerability in his eyes. All of it had drawn Alicia in. But Alicia knew the price of getting too close as she made her way downstairs. The system reappeared, groaning as if rebooting from a crash. Unbelievable. No wonder Alicia Jameson's feed was a blur of static last night. What the heck happened? Alicia muttered. Don't look at me. I didn't consent to any of it. This is on him. The system hesitated. Technically, you're right. But if the story deviates too far and Bill Waterman doesn't end up with Fiona Gutter, you'll still face the consequences, of course. Typical, Alicia thought, as she walked through the lobby. She overheard murmurs from passing staff. Mr. Waterman never left the room last night. Well, he's 27. It's normal for a man to have needs, but isn't he with Miss Gutter? Now, after last night, Fiona Gutter was practically guaranteed to become Mrs. Waterman at the entrance. Fiona Gutter stood waiting, her soaked dress clinging to her fragile frame. Fiona's red-rimmed eyes met Alicia Jameson's as Alicia stepped out. As Alicia approached the entrance of the Grand Hall, she saw Fiona Gutter still dressed in last night's gown. Fiona's hair was damp, and the fabric clung to her frame. Fiona's eyes, rimmed red, carried a defiance that barely masked her vulnerability. As Fiona stared resolutely in Alicia's direction, Alicia Jameson veered to avoid Fiona Gutter. Fiona intended to walk straight past, but she stepped forward, blocking Alicia's path. Alicia Jameson, I've heard about you, Fiona said. Alicia stopped, raising an eyebrow and waiting for Fiona to elaborate. Meanwhile, Alicia couldn't help but take in the sight of Fiona, this woman, who in the grand scheme of this world was designed to trample over Alicia. Fiona's beauty was delicate, like a lotus blooming in clear water, with thin shoulders and a waist so slender that it seemed a breath could break her. She exuded an aura of fragility that made anyone want to wrap her in their arms for protection. With Fiona Gutter's pitiful, soaked appearance, she looked every bit the damsel in distress. Fiona bit her lip. Her sorrow was plain as day. You treated Bill Waterman so terribly before. Why have you come back to hurt him? Again, Bill is a good man. Please don't do anything that might harm him. So Bill is the saint and Alicia Jameson is the devil, is that it? And just who's hurting? Who? Alicia paused, letting the silence hang for a moment before asking flatly, what's so great about Bill Waterman? Fiona tilted her head, her eyes lighting up as she spoke to the outside world. Bill Waterman is cold, cynical, and sees no beauty in life. Bill is ruthless, calculating, extreme, and unrelenting, focused solely on making money. In the early days, Bill drank himself into gastric perforation just to close deals and endure humiliation from business partners. Without batting an eye, Bill spent countless nights sleeping in his office, clawing his way out of the darkness. Yet, when given even the smallest chance, Bill soars higher and higher. People admire Bill's brilliance, but fear his methods. Fiona's voice softened, and the light in Fiona's eyes dimmed. But Fiona saw Bill's fragility. Fiona saw a man scarred by 15 years of humiliation and dependence on others. Bill wasn't heartless. Bill was just guarded because of his pain. Fiona loved Bill, and Fiona was willing to heal Bill to stand by his side. Ah, yes, of course. Blame Fiona for everything? With a sigh, Fiona shrugged off her jacket and draped it over Fiona's shoulders. Go home, it's raining, and the temperature will drop tonight, Fiona said. It was only 4 in the afternoon, almost a full day. Since the banquet had ended, Fiona Gutter stood outside, seemingly tormenting herself. Fiona knew where Alicia Jameson and Bill Waterman had been, yet Fiona hadn't barged in, thrown a tantrum, or demanded answers. Fiona could have gone home to her plush sofa or silk sheets, perhaps buying herself some luxury items with Bill's money as consolation. But no, Fiona had to choose the most foolish option of all. Without another glance, Alicia limped away, ignoring the ache in her knees and the weight of Fiona's gaze. Alicia couldn't understand Fiona's devotion to one man, losing herself completely. Was it really worth it? The system's voice suddenly buzzed with excitement. Host brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Alicia responded absent-mindedly, unsure what the system was so thrilled about. By giving Fiona Gutter your jacket, you have shown her the marks left by last night's events with Bill Waterman. This will fuel her jealousy and bitterness, leading to a confrontation with the male lead. They will argue, misunderstandings will escalate, and eventually, Bill Waterman will have to pursue her in a dramatic, heartfelt redemption arc. It's perfect, Alicia replied flatly, glancing down at her chest to see the red marks trailing across her skin. Those marks served as evidence of Bill Waterman's less than gentle attentions. When she looked back, Fiona Gutter's teary eyes were fixed on her, with lips trembling as though Fiona were about to cry. Well, being misunderstood was Alicia's fate as the villainess, wasn't it? Suddenly, Fiona declared with a quiver in her voice, Bill Waterman will be mine. Alicia nodded, responding with a vague, almost bored smile. You're absolutely right. But Alicia also thinks postnatal care for SO should start during pregnancy. Reducing their feed 4 to 5 days before delivery helps lessen abdominal pressure. That way, they can eat more after giving birth. Anyway, that's all Alicia has to say. Goodbye. Fiona opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. She seemed too stunned to argue as Alicia walked off, leaving Fiona behind. The system buzzed again, practically giddy. The system exclaimed, Alicia Jameson is a natural. That was incredible. Alicia used a mundane excuse to completely unnerve Fiona Gutter, planting the seeds of jealousy and setting the stage for the next big twist. This is why Alicia is the original malicious supporting character. Alicia's instincts are leagues ahead of my lame slap suggestion from yesterday, but that wasn't Alicia's intention. Alicia had simply thought the poor girl looked pitiful, standing there, drenched. After all, Fiona Gutter was barely out of college, a naive, fresh-faced newcomer to society. As Alicia stepped outside, her gaze fell briefly to the faint reflection in the glass. The marks Bill Waterman had left on Alicia stood out vividly, a reminder of the chaos he brought into her life. Behind Alicia, Fiona Guta's tearful gaze followed Alicia's every step, her expression one of wounded pride and jealousy. When Alicia returned home, her family greeted her with a warm celebration. Alicia's mother immediately pulled her into her arms, her face full of worry. "Oh, my poor girl. You've gotten so skinny after all these years abroad." Alicia's mother exclaimed, "Look at Alicia's arms and legs. Has Alicia even been eating properly?" Alicia rolled her eyes, thinking her mother was overreacting. Mom, Alicia replied. "I've actually gained 10 pounds, as confirmed by a recent physical." Arya Jameson, Alicia's eldest sister, didn't waste a moment. She quickly dragged Alicia to her home office for a thorough health check. Not bad. You've been exercising, haven't you? Your body fat percentage is much healthier than it was 5 years ago, Arya noted. "Gee, thanks, sis," Alicia responded. Even Adam Jameson, Alicia's oldest brother and a top-tier celebrity, managed to carve out time in his packed schedule to come home. Adam Jameson showered Alicia with gifts, including autographed memorabilia from some of her favorite stars. "So, are you staying this time?" Adam asked. Alicia shook her head. "I'm not leaving again. My studies finished 5 years ago. When I left the country, it wasn't just because I had slept with the so-called male lead, Bill Waterman, and feared the consequences. There was another reason, an opportunity to pursue an accelerated doctoral program in quantum finance, according to the system. Alicia had originally declined the opportunity for Bill Waterman's sake, because the story demanded she be a woman obsessed with him, willing to forsake her future for love. Alicia Jameson chose a different path over the past 5 years. Alicia juggled academics and entrepreneurship, burying herself in high-intensity work. This dedication left no room for thoughts of Bill Waterman. Truth be told, if the system hadn't dragged Alicia back to fulfill her role as the malicious supporting character, Alicia might never have seen Bill again. No matter how the story ultimately reached its happy ending, Alicia planned to live out her days with her parents, blissfully enjoying a life of luxury with her resources. Alicia could easily find a few boy toys or puppies to spoil. Alicia's brother and sister could screen their resumes. Good looks and stamina would be guaranteed. Someone like Bill Waterman could easily be found among the candidates. Alicia could find 10 of him during dinner. The television behind Alicia played a finance channel. There he was, Bill Waterman, impeccably dressed in a tailored black suit, calmly answering the interviewer's questions. Another segment highlighted his meteoric rise over the past 5 years on screen. Bill adjusted his gold-framed glasses with long-veined fingers that stood out against his pale, cool-toned skin. Bill Waterman's hands were striking, elegantly masculine with prominent veins trailing from his knuckles to his forearms. Alicia Jameson bit into the donut. Her sister Arya handed it to her, momentarily distracting Alicia with the sight of those hands. They hadn't been nearly so refined in their activities the previous night. A stray memory flashed, sending an involuntary shiver down Alicia's spine. Arya, ever perceptive, touched Alicia's shoulder. "What's wrong? Are you cold?" Before Alicia could respond, Arya called out to Aunt Mary. "Jean, bring a blanket and turn up the thermostat." "No, I'm fine," Alicia insisted. Alicia quickly waved off her mother's concern. Adam followed Alicia's gaze to the television and smirked knowingly. Do you like him?" their mother asked. Catching on and frowning. That boy, isn't he? The Waterman family's son. He's done well for himself these past 5 years. If you like him, Alicia, I'll arrange a proposal. You two have a history. 15 years of it. It's perfect. In the original storyline, the Jameson family's excessive indulgence had been Alicia's downfall. The family supported her infatuation with Bill Waterman to the point of obsession, using every dirty trick in the book to force him to marry her. When the Waterman family resisted, they targeted Bill Waterman's career, only to suffer defeat at the hands of the story's chosen one. In the end, the Jameson family's reputation was tarnished, leaving them a shadow of their former selves. Did Alicia dare repeat history? Feigning disgust, Alicia scoffed. Like him? Absolutely not! She instructed her family to pretend they never saw him. They shrugged, satisfied, and returned to their meal. Out of the corner of Alicia's eye, she watched Bill Waterman on the screen. He had changed so much in 5 years. This version of Bill was poised, distant, and authoritative. His few words carrying weight, even through the screen. He exuded a palpable sense of control. At one point, he loosened his tie, as if the heat had finally gotten to him. Then with a decisive motion, he unbuttoned his collar. The interviewer faltered. Mid-question, eyes widening because on Bill's neck was a blatant cluster of love bites. 26, 37. The host couldn't resist probing. Mr. Waterman, those marks, are they? Bill, unfazed, replied smoothly. Mosquito bites. The host hesitated. Mosquito bites. Bill Waterman didn't blink. Bill's reputation was ironclad. For 5 years, Bill had navigated life without a single scandal. Either Bill was truly disciplined, or Bill had ensured no media outlet dared to cross him. Unsurprisingly, the host chose to drop the topic, but the damage was done by evening. Social media exploded with speculation. Waterman mosquitoes. Who is Amar's Waterman? His wife is terrifying. Alicia Jameson underestimated Bill's current level of influence, but more importantly, Alicia wondered what Bill's game was. Did Bill Waterman forget about the marks on purpose? Impossible. Last night, Bill had teased Alicia mercilessly. Alicia won here too. Okay, Alicia wanted more. Mock me everywhere. Bill was a nightmare. One with a very specific kink. After dinner, the system chimed in with Alicia's next task. Call Bill Waterman and invite him over. Spike his drink. What? The system clarified the villainous drugs, the male lead forcing him to see her true nature. Desperate, he runs to the heroine for salvation. Classic setup. If Alicia succeeded, her mission would be nearly complete. Alicia pondered the situation. Alicia's family had not encountered Bill Waterman during Alicia's absence. And with Alicia's father's influence, they could manage Bill's anger. At least for the time being, Alicia decided to play along, complete the mission, and reclaim a peaceful life. After a brief moment of contemplation, Alicia typed out a message. My cat can do backflips. Want to come see? No, that was too obvious. I'm sick. Can you take me to the hospital? That was ridiculous. Bill would probably wish her dead. Before Alicia could overthink the message, Bill's response appeared. You left some things at the hotel. Bill Waterman asked if he should bring the items over. Alicia Jameson frowned, asking what things he meant. Bill replied that he had her hairpin, her bank card, and a necklace. The hairpin had been a birthday gift from him years ago.